There's a lot Anthem doesn't tell you that you actually really kinda need to know, and it makes absolutely zero sense why they didn't add the stuff in the game to begin with. So today I'll be giving you 12 plus tips to becoming a better freelancer. This is my first of many videos covering tips on Anthem, so stay tuned for future content. If you're new, I'm Sons of the Abyss Gaming. Welcome to my channel.
I got broads in Atlanta, just to lean the family, credit cards in the scammers.
To start off, none of these are in actually any specific order whatsoever. Let's start with our first tip, using your ultimate strategically. Now at first it can be very tempting to use your ultimate ability as soon as it's available, but every Javelin has its special ultimate ability, and if you're not aware, when you use an ultimate, it actually fully heals you and your shield. So in a lot of cases, though tempting, it is far better to save your ultimate for strategic use when you're about to be defeated. Now this isn't the case when you have a special build like I do that allows for very quick ultimate buildups. In that case, do it whenever you please. Now it's like I said though, it is usually best to save it for when you really need it. Let's go ahead and move on to our second tip, salvaging your loot. Now one annoying thing in Anthem is your limited inventory space, and it can be so damn frustrating and time consuming to go into the menus just to salvage and junk all those items. Now what I recommend to kinda combat this is to always salvage the loot you don't want when your current mission or expedition ends. Now if you didn't know, you can actually salvage the items you don't want when the mission ends and shows you the loot you've gotten during that current expedition. Now I found doing it this way is so much better for the overall fluidity of the game, and if you're not aware of how to do it, you can see on screen. It's very simple, and it's good for the overall feel. Less load screens is always great. Are you having trouble surviving during those hard missions? Then you've probably forgotten about the use of consumables, another thing the game could explain a lot better. Now the consumable functionality is actually really cool, and I like it a lot actually. Now before you start an expedition, you actually have a choice to equip a consumable item, and depending on your level, you could actually equip up to 3 total during each mission. Now these items are craftable one-time use items. They give you special stats that help you during your mission. There's a lot to choose from, and the effects can vary from giving you damage and defense buffs to increasing your heat gauge and flying time, and you unlock a lot of these through a wide variety of challenges, which will actually bring us to our next tip. So one of the many things that are hidden in the menus, and a very important thing to actually be aware of, are the many challenges that you can complete, varying from exploration and combat to stronghold and special event challenges. Now do you need more coin for that really cool armor set or pattern or even emote? Well, this is your main way of doing so, and you can actually earn even more than just coin from these challenges. You'll actually be able to get certain graphics, which are basically badass tattoos for your Javelin. Now you can also get rewarded with weapon blueprints, and like previously mentioned, you'll also get consumable blueprints. So do not forget to check your challenges every once in a while. Trust me, you won't regret it. Now this next one isn't really a tip, just a bit of advice. Master the flight and movement system. Now remember, this is not a cover-based shooter. You're given the flight system for more reasons than just getting from point A to point B. So play around with the flight system. Try to really utilize it while in combat. You'll find the gameplay becomes much smoother when you master the unique flight system Anthem has provided us with. Now another questionable thing the game doesn't really explain very well for some damn reason is the functionality of the melee attacks. Now in Anthem, the melee attacks are far more useful than just to slap enemies around. Every Javelin has a unique melee attack that you should actually take note of. Now let's start with the Ranger, for instance. The Ranger's melee attack can actually prime enemies up for a combo, which is a very useful mechanic. And if you don't know how combos work, go ahead and check out my previous video where I go over the basics. Now let's talk about the Colossus. Unlike the Ranger, he is actually able to detonate combos by slamming his fist down into the ground, which actually makes the Colossus a deadly choice indeed. Now the Interceptor, his melee attack is the most unique out of all the Javelins. It's actually able to do melee attacks very quickly, giving it a very high damage rate. Not only does it do a good amount of damage though, when you attack an enemy who is affected by some type of elemental debuff, you will actually gain what you call an aura. Now when you gain this aura, you will do damage to surrounding enemies. The type of aura is based off the element the enemy is currently damaged by. For instance, when an enemy is on fire and you hit him, you will actually gain the fire aura and will do fire damage to surrounding enemies and catch them on fire as well. The Storm's melee ability is called Fiery Strike. It simply causes the explosion, knocking back all your enemies. Now, knowing all these melee attacks are very important to getting the most out of your Javelin, and just, it's so much more fun when you know how to use these properly. Here's another piece of pretty good advice. Just play with every Javelin before you determine which one you want to play with all the time. Give the others a chance. Every Javelin feels very different and unique from each other, which is actually a very big bonus to the game. You never know which one you might actually like, so just trust me when I say give them all a chance. Don't forget about the crafting in this game. It can come in handy, especially when you're trying to get the perfect roll on that gun you just really love to use. Now, you can get these blueprints by completing challenges like I mentioned prior. Now, the reason I put this on my tips list is because it's really not thrown in your face constantly while you're playing the game, so a lot of players might not be aware of how useful crafting actually is. Now, if you have a masterwork item you really love to use, you can actually unlock the blueprint for it by using it over and over. So you can craft it infinitely until you get the stats you really want on it. Now, you can check the progress on these challenges under the weapon challenges tab in the main menu. Every game mode has certain loot that is available to you. Now, for instance, free play is good for getting component upgrades, and strongholds are good for getting ability items. Now, don't get me wrong, you can still get abilities from free play and vice versa, but certain game modes are better for different reasons. My point is, don't just focus on one thing. Try to play every aspect of Anthem, the strongholds, free play, legendary contracts. Play it all, you won't regret it. Try not to ignore one for the other, because you might find an item that otherwise you wouldn't have found. I'm sure you've seen the little green glowing shapes that enemies drop when you kill them. I'm sure you know that these are ammo pickups. But what you may not be aware of is actually when you pick these up, it automatically reloads both your equipped guns. This is a smart mechanic. It's actually really useful, and I really haven't seen it before. For instance, if you have a big gun with a big clip that just takes forever to reload, it is simply easy just to go pick up a green pack, reload that gun automatically, and continue to spray and pray, hoping for that kill. Here's another little tip. If you're really getting into Anthem, then I suggest following some of the devs on Twitter. I know this is a very unusual thing to put on a tips video, but if you really like this game, they usually actually tweet out some very good information. And here's a few of them right now on screen if you do want to go follow them, which I really do recommend doing so if you plan on following this game for a long time, because it's really good to keep up with the current events in the game. One of the last tips I have to give, at least for this video, is a quick way to level. Now, don't just run strongholds because you don't get much XP, not compared to what you can get when you run contracts. Now, contracts are basically side quests and can be found by talking to the faction NPCs as well as a quest board in the game. Now, the contracts are your best bet to level up to 30 as fast as possible. For even faster leveling, make sure to play it with a party, not solo, as well as having it on the hard or above difficulties. Trust me, this is a good way to level up, and if you really want to get to that level 30 mark so you can start getting that sweet loot, then just do what I'm telling you to do here. Let's go ahead and talk about our last tip. Most importantly, our final tip. Don't give up on the game before you hit level 30. I know it's easy to do when all you're getting are the same weapons over and over, but once you hit that 30 mark, the game truly opens up and it allows you to make the creative builds that you really want to create. Now, this game is only getting better with time. Yes, it released in a bad state, but it seems the developers are devoted to making it the best possible experience for all the players. Now, there's evidence of this by the continued communication that BioWare is keeping up. They are really rolling out these semi-big updates very often, more so than I've seen from any current devs besides No Man's Sky. They've added some recent updates that help a lot with the loot issues players are having, which I will have a video going over all those new changes, and they keep releasing these updates sooner than they originally tell us, which in my opinion is a good and very smart practice. So it goes without saying, I love Anthem and what comes with it, but even more so, I'm excited for the future of this game, and you should be too. If you want to see my upcoming Anthem content, do not forget to subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to smash that like button into the abyss. That'll let people know that this video is actually good and YouTube will want to recommend it even more. If you want, share it around with your friends if you're so inclined. I'm Sons of the Abyss Gaming. I'll see you in the next video. I'm out of here.
I got broads in Atlanta, just to throw me in the family. Credit cards in the scammers, hitting the licks in the van. Legacies,